Hi, we're working on the project bag and there's a pattern on my website to purchase and download on GourmetQuilter.com for that project bag. I just thought I'd run through with you how to do some fairly simple quilting. Now you may not be using this fabric, I'm not using this panel fabric for this occasion. However, I just did some straight lines because that's all that warranted and I quite like it. So I'm just going to do some pretty straight lines on the panels for my bag. So what I've got here, I've already done one, but I've got the other side to do, and mine are different colours. We've already cut out the squares of fabric and the soft and stable batting and the faster fuse. So we're going to lay down, and you would normally do this where you can iron this. I don't have an ironing pad big enough for this just here, so I'm managing without, but I've already ironed it. So I'm going to lay my main fabric with the right side down onto my ironing surface. Then I'm going to lay my soft and stable batting down. Then I'm going to lay my faster fuse, which as you can see I have already fused, but just so you can see here. Now the fabric and the soft and stable were all cut the same size, but the faster fuse is cut smaller. So you want about 3/4 of an inch all the way around the faster fuse. So it's just going to sit evenly with inside. And then you're going to lay your lining fabric on top of that with the right side up. So you've got right side down and right side up here with these in between. And then you're going to iron that all in place, and as you can see it is already fused. So if you iron it from this side, that will fuse that lining fabric, which is what you want to have happen to that faster fuse. And then we can come around and we can pop some of these clips, or if you don't have clips you can use pins. And then we're ready to start marking some quilting. Now you may decide, you may have done applique, you may have done all sorts of things on the outside of your bag. I'm just using this delicious dotty fabric, and I'm just going to do some straight lines, and I'll show you how to mark some of those briefly. So you've got quite a thick, stiff piece of stuff here to work with. You might want to quilt some free motion quilting. You can do any type of quilting even though you've got all this in here. I'm just going to do straight lines today. You might want to stitch around every little dot on your fabric. That would be up to you. So I'm going to position this. I'm using the markings on my board to help me line up to put some marks on for quilting straight lines. So because I had cut this, I've come in, so I've centered this evenly between two lines, and so this is giving me a 16-inch area to work with. So my halfway point is going to be coming down that 8-inch. So just make sure things are sitting evenly within some lines so that you've got a line down the center. If you want a center line, you may not want to have a center line. And then I would lay my ruler over that center line, and if I could see on that I would probably just draw a line with a pencil to stitch along, but I'm not going to see that on that dark fabric. So another option would be to have something like a masking tape, and I would stick that just next to that center line so that I can stitch all the way down next to sticky tape. That will help give me a bit of a guide. There's other things you can do. You can have a chalk marker. There's lots of ways of marking, but this works quite well. And then I'm going to take that to the sewing machine. So I've got the stiff side down and I've got the softer side. Now this is not fusible, so this is not fused on top here. And I'm going to go to the sewing machine and just do some straight line quilting. So I'm going to go to one side of that sticky tape. Now I've got my walking foot on, and I've also extended the length of my stitch, but I've just got a regular sewing needle. It doesn't, even though you've got a lot of bulk there, it doesn't seem to be a problem to the sewing. And I'm just going to let that go right through, stitching quite a large stitch. That helps it all go through nicely. So this is quite stiff and bulky, but you shouldn't have too much trouble. You can move it, you can bend it, you can fold it over if you need to. And we're just going to come all the way along, and you get the hang of it. It's just some straight line sewing. And what I find with that, something like a masking tape like that, that gives me a straight line to stitch next to. Now I might want to go on and do some parallel lines, in which case I can take the tape off, and you can reuse the tape. Most tapes will work several times for this sort of thing. And I might lay this on, say I want to go every 2 inches, so that my 2-inch in from the edge line sits right over the top of that line I've just stitched, and then I can come and stick this down again, and again stitch next to it, and you can keep moving it in both directions so that you end up with something that looks a little bit like this. If you want straight line quilting, like I said, you could do any sort you liked. So that's how to get the top and the bottom, or front and back of the bag quilted, and we'll come back and I'll show you how to do some of the inside bits and pieces. Thank you.